kind of scary.
As night falls over Cockeysville, a shelter-in-place order put back in effect. The sound of the manhunt in the distance. It's the search for David Linthicum. Mayor Scott facing opposition on his 9-figure conduit deal. Our team is at City Hall with how council members are pushing back.
I feel like they don't care. It's not their children. They don't care.
Parents fed up with the shortcomings of city schools. Fox 45 News demanding answers from city leaders on who shall be held accountable.
I was fearful and terrified. I don't feel safe. I don't at all.
A Baltimore couple tells a heart-racing story of their encounter with a Squeegee kid. Fox 45 News questions police on how they're enforcing the Squeegee ban.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Breaking news out of Cockeysville. Residents in the area of Powers Road and Warren Road are being asked to shelter in place yet again. Police say the suspect they have been searching for since yesterday has been spotted in the area. Good evening. I'm Mary Bubala.
And I'm Kai Jackson. Police are calling him armed and dangerous at this time. Keith Daniels joins us live from the scene. Keith, we understand this scene is hot and active right now.
Very active, Kai. A flurry of activity happening at this hour. In fact, we received one video from a neighbor indicating that possibly police are moving in on that suspect. They heard flashbangs. Take a listen.
There was another one. That's the third explosion.
Flashbangs in the area as police look for this suspect. Police behind us here with the flashing lights. They have blocked off Sherwood Road leading to Powers Avenue where this situation unfolded. Now, the search for Linthicum triggered Wednesday afternoon a phone call to police to come to a home on Powers Avenue near Sherwood here in Cockeysville. A man in crisis. Officers arrived. Then they say Linthicum fired a gun, hurt an officer. That officer, though, he is okay, released from the hospital now, recovering after the shooting, the barricade situation. And then, of course, now tonight, more flurry in the community, including video, they say, one neighbor says, of police possibly making contact with Linthicum. Take a listen. Now, you may be able to have heard the officer saying on the loudspeaker, David, come out, we won't hurt you. Again, a flurry of activity happening now in this Cockeysville community. There are reports that another officer has been shot. We're following up on that. Unconfirmed reports with all of this tonight. Police, of course, with their hands full, spokespeople gathering all the information they can at this hour. And we were told earlier today, when they have more information, they will pass it on to us. And of course, we'll pass it on to you. We're live now in Cockeysville. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
All right, Keith, thank you for that report. Now, this is a live look at shock trauma in downtown Baltimore. You can see officers are on the scene there. We are hearing unconfirmed reports that an officer is wounded. We'll keep you updated on the situation.
Well, the search forcing multiple Baltimore County schools to shut down today. No word yet on whether they will be open tomorrow. You can get the latest information on school closures at foxbaltimore.com.
Well, the home at the beginning of yesterday's manhunt is the same house where the Browning family lived when they were murdered by their son in 2008. Right now, Nicholas Browning is serving 4 life sentences for the murders that happened there.
And we want to show you the picture once again. The suspect, 24-year-old David Linthicum. He is 5'7", believed to be wearing a dark short-sleeve shirt and shorts again. He is armed and dangerous. If you see him, do not approach him. Call 911 immediately. We have posted this picture on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Fox 45 News will continue to follow this developing story, bring you any updates during our newscast, and, of course, online as they come in.
Turning to a city in crisis right now, and a new report from Project Baltimore showing the situation in some Baltimore City schools is dire. 23 schools have 0 students who tested proficient on the state math exam. That's 2,000 students. Now, Fox 45 News has been demanding answers from city and school leaders. The school system refuses an interview with Fox 45 and Project Baltimore, only responding with a statement explaining the steps it's taking to improve those math scores. Now, one parent tells Project Baltimore she doesn't think the school system will ever improve, and she plans to move out of the city.
And you don't think your son's getting the education he needs to survive?
Absolutely. He's not.
Now we have team coverage of the problems facing Baltimore City schools, starting with Mackenzie Frost, who demands answers from city leaders.
2,000 students across Baltimore City public schools aren't able to do math at grade level. Meanwhile, Mayor Brandon Scott and other leaders inside City Hall aren't talking about the problem at all.
Coppin Academy, Reach Partnership, Forest Park. 3 high schools on the list of 23 schools across Baltimore with 0 students who can do math proficiently. It's not just high school students struggling. Park Heights Academy, Johnston Square, elementary schools with struggling students too. Johnston Square is where Nichelle Watkins' son goes to school. Watkins speaking with Fox 45's Project Baltimore.
I feel like they don't care. It's not their children. They don't care.
Her son is in 4th grade and can't read.
How is he supposed to be productive if he can't read?
This one family story highlights the concerns many have as schools continue to struggle to reach benchmarks. The latest test scores from the state indicate kids are falling behind. Fox 45 News sending questions to Mayor Brandon Scott about the 23 schools without students proficient in math, asking, do you believe a change in school leadership is necessary in Baltimore? If not, why not? How do you defend these results? The mayor and his team ignoring those questions.
I think they're ignoring it because they don't have an answer.
Political analyst John Deedy says elected leaders shouldn't brush off these problems because having a community filled with education and math problems could add up to bigger issues for Baltimore as a whole.
Companies aren't going to come to your state or your region to work. They don't want to hire stupid people. They don't want to hire people that aren't proficient in math.
But it's not just the mayor not talking about the achievement gaps. My colleague sent an email about the 23 schools in the city who have 0 students who are proficient in math.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not talking to any Sinclair affiliate. That's the end of that.
You don't have any concerns about these failing schools?
No, I don't have any interest in talking to anybody from any Sinclair broadcast group affiliate.
Why is that?
I'm not going to talk about it.
Councilman Ryan Dorsey refusing to speak with Fox 45 News about the math scores or respond to our emails with questions.
I am aware of that report.
Councilman Mark Conway telling Fox 45 News the role of the city council is simply oversight. Should he hold an oversight hearing with the CEO of city schools to talk about these failing kids?
Yeah, I definitely think it's worthwhile. I think it's important for us to understand what's going on.
Sentiment similar to what Councilman Eric Costello told Project Baltimore. Councilman Robert Stokes, chair of the Education, Workforce, and Youth Committee, telling Fox 45 he will call for a hearing to get answers from city schools about the thousands of kids who aren't proficient in math. But that hearing likely won't take place until April. Meanwhile, city schools operates with a $1.6 billion budget, spending $21,000 per student, cementing city schools in the top 5 of large school districts nationwide when it comes to spending per student in the classroom. That budget set to increase when $30 billion is given to schools statewide in the next decades, boosting bottom lines. But there's no guarantee the test scores of students will increase as well. City Schools tells Fox 45 News they are taking steps to improve math scores, including professional development for teachers, extended learning time at the end of the day, and even summer learning opportunities for struggling students. In the newsroom, Mackenzie Frost, Fox 45 News.
Well, yesterday, Mackenzie questioned state lawmakers in Annapolis, or tried to. Many of them refused to answer her questions.
I sent you an email about the 23 schools in Baltimore City who have 0 students who are proficient in math.
When you do a school story about something succeeding in the schools, I'll respond. You never do.
Well, if you have concerns about education you want your local representative in Annapolis to address, scan that QR code right there on your screen. It'll take you directly to our website, which lists their official email and phone numbers. And that brings us to our question of the day. Do you trust Dr. Santelises to lead Baltimore City schools? So far, 96% of voters say no. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote and click on the Project Baltimore tab to weigh in.
As city public schools continue to suffer, the school system is setting its sights on shutting down a high-performing charter school. Fox 45's Rebecca Pryor continues our team coverage.
every student in Maryland will know that there are paths to their success and their fulfillment.
Pledging education as a top priority, a defining moment of Governor Wes Moore's Inauguration Day.
You succeeding is going to mean everything to each and every one of us.
Meeting with the young men attending the Baltimore Collegiate School for Boys. Moore taking to Twitter, writing, quote, "I told them there is never a room they don't belong in." A month later, the city threatening to rip those students from their classrooms.
It's just very disappointing. I would hope that we could partner better.
The charter's CEO, Edwin Avent, says the school is dedicated to going beyond educating basic curriculum. Students wear coats and ties and are encouraged to pursue a higher level of education in the future.
Shake my hands, make eye contact, smile when you talk to people. These are the soft skills that so many of our boys need to become more successful in life.
But now the school's future rests in the hands of Baltimore City Schools CEO Dr. Sonia Santelises. The charter is one of 11 up for renewal, an effectiveness evaluation finding Baltimore Collegiate the only charter failing in several categories. Failures Avent describes as simple technicalities such as missing paperwork or data entry errors.
They were procedural, operational things that we believe can be and have been addressed.
However, the city's report claiming the charter's teaching practices and staffing levels also fall short. Santelises will make her final renewal recommendation in front of the School Board of Commissioners next Tuesday. Then on Thursday, Baltimore Collegiate will be given just 4 minutes to plead their case. In a statement, Avent writing, quote, "I absolutely don't think that is enough time." And he's not alone.
The incompetency and probably corruption of the Baltimore City Schools leadership is stunning.
Former city councilman and principal of a shuttered city charter, Carl Stokes, questioning why the city is quick to pull the plug on charters when many of the city's public schools are plagued with problems.
Overall, the city schools numbers are horrendous in terms of graduation rates.
In city public schools, just 67% of students graduate, compared to the first 2 graduating classes at Baltimore Collegiate, where Avent says about 95% of students cross the finish line. Fox 45 reaching out to the governor's office, questioning, should the city be able to close a charter that's outperforming public schools? And will you step in to keep the doors of this charter open? As of News Time tonight, no response.
Certainly, if we were a district school and it were the same issues, you wouldn't be closing a district school.
Rebecca Pryor, Fox 45 News.
Was Rebecca Pryor reporting. Now, after both the school system and the charter president present their case next week, the Board of Commissioners will have the final say and vote on the future of the school. That will happen February 23rd, and you can believe Fox 45 will keep you updated.
Fox 45 News and Project Baltimore will continue to demand answers about the failures within some city schools. You can find Project Baltimore's latest report on our website, foxbaltimore.com.
And here we go with near record warmth. Hard to believe February, we made it to 68 this afternoon. Still not enough to make the record. We were just 1 degree off. I think tomorrow we're back in the 60s again, and that's after a relatively mild start. We're in the 60s now. We will fall down into the 40s or 50s. A cold front gradually pushes on through late tonight into early tomorrow morning. So I think you'll have to have closed windows on the drive in, but by afternoon, you may be able to open them up again. I'm going to let you know how much warmer it's going to get again tomorrow and when we could see some snow in our forecast over the weekend. That's in a couple of minutes.
Next on Fox 45 News at 10, Squeegee kid citations could be issued tomorrow for violations in banned areas. As enforcement shifts, a family comes to Fox 45 News sharing a scary encounter and how they were threatened. Some new information in that deadly crash and building collapse, including the dramatic moments officers witnessed it all unfold before them. And several members of the city council pushing back on the mayor's $130 million deal with BGE. Why they say it could be bad for Baltimore.
And Fox 45 News is keeping an eye on the developments in Cockeysville, Baltimore County, where that manhunt for David Emery Linthicum is seriously intensifying. Police now confirm an officer was hurt and a shelter-in-place order along Powers Avenue is still in effect. We'll have updates throughout the evening. Stay right where you are. Fox 45 News at 10 o'clock is coming back. Tomorrow marks 1 month since the Squeegee collaborative plan in Baltimore took effect, and the first day police will start handing out citations to Squeegee kids caught breaking the rules.
Well, tonight, one couple says they don't think the plan is working, telling Fox 45 News a Squeegee kid threatened them when they declined to have their windows washed, indicating he had a gun.
Fox 45's Maxine Stryker has the story.
They say this incident happened at the end of last year, but it was clear talking with them today they are still shook up about this incident, and they're calling for change.
I was fearful and terrified.
It was the end of last year when this couple, who doesn't want to be identified, says a trip down Pratt Street in Baltimore took a turn for the worse.
We're sitting at the light. Next thing I know, this guy just plops on a car on my wife's side, on the passenger side, just starts squirting stuff on the car.
Waiting to turn onto President Street, the man says he waved and beeped his horn, asking the squeegee person to stop.
I go to open the door and stand up, tell him, "Sir, could you stop? You know, we don't want the service. Could you stop?" He got really angry. I mean, very angry, and said, "So it's going to be like that."
He tells us that's when he got back in the car and things escalated.
He was really, really angry. He was threatening my husband at that point, threatening him to get out of the car.
They say the squeegee man then gestured to them that he was armed.
He's got his hand in his pocket sticking out and saying, get out now, get out now. And she's frantic.
I was thinking about Timothy Reynolds. I said, is this going to be a situation where we are actually shot? I didn't know whether we were going to be shot or killed.
He was gesturing as though he had a firearm. He put it in my face in the window.
That's when they say the light changed.
I immediately took off.
And they left and called police. This couple joins many other people who have come forward to Fox 45 with similar stories. Some assaulted, all left scarred.
People are fearful coming into the city.
Nearly 1 month ago, Baltimore began enforcing a squeegee ban at 6 high-traffic intersections, including President and Pratt. The Squeegee Collaborative also rolled out several initiatives, including an Earn and Learn program that will pay the kids to get off the corners and participate in training programs.
It's against the law. It's illegal. I don't think it's going to work. I think it's paying extortioners to pretty much, you know, keep doing what you're doing, and it's coddling.
This couple says the plan won't work, and it's time city leaders take a more hard approach to the issue that's plagued the city for far too long.
I don't feel safe. I don't at all. Whenever I'm downtown and we're in the car, it's like, you know, who's going to come up and what is going to happen.
We reached out to police today asking how many warnings they have issued to squeegee kids since this new plan went into place on January 10th. A police spokesperson tells us 18 warnings have been given to pedestrians walking and standing in the roadways since January 10th. In Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
If you have a similar run-in with a squeegee kid, we want to hear about it. Send us an email to news@foxbaltimore.com.
New information tonight after a deadly crash along North Avenue and Wolf Street in Baltimore. Investigators say 33-year-old Sean Lee Brunson was driving a stolen vehicle, trying to get away from police when he crashed into another car, sending both cars into a building that then collapsed. As a result, a pedestrian, 54-year-old Alfred Fincher, was killed. Now, police say all of this happened, and 5 occupants of the 2 cars have since been released from the hospital. Investigators say it began when officers spotted a stolen car not far from there and tried to stop it. Listen to the dispatch audio from responding officers.
It's this vehicle right in front of me. See if you can pin it in. Pin it in. All right, it's taking off in the end. It looks like, I don't know if it's going to be able to get out of here. Just let it go, guys. It's westbound on Sinclair. It's traveling at a high rate of speed. It looks like it's going to go southbound on Wolf and come out North Ave.
Yeah, just hit a car, collapsed building just fell on it, North and Wolf. Get some units, start a couple medics. Hit a civilian vehicle, the building collapsed on it, on both vehicles. Start a couple medics.
Well, Brunson now faces auto theft charges and more charges are pending. Police say the car was stolen on Tuesday.
Fox 45 News continues to follow the breaking news out of Cockeysville. This is a live look right now at shock trauma. Police gathering there after they say an officer was seriously hurt in the search for David Linthicum not long ago. This is the second officer hurt. It is not clear what happened. Police say Linthicum was spotted in Cockeysville earlier tonight.
And right now, police are confirming he's still on the run. So stay with Fox 45 News. We'll have a complete report, a live report coming up at 10:30.
And we do want to add that there is now a shelter in place that just issued in Falston. Again, a shelter in place just issued for the Falston area. They do believe the suspect may be in that area. We will update this soon in a live report. Well, still ahead, a new development in the investigation into Hunter Biden. What attorneys for the president's son are refusing to hand over to a House Oversight Committee.
Accusations of bias at the highest levels of the federal government. I'm Christine Frizzell with a look at why some Republicans say it's become weaponized.
And still tracking that pesky weekend potential of snow. Take a look at what the computer models are saying tonight about it. Mainly rain and maybe a couple of wet flakes here on the GFS computer model on the left-hand side of your screen. Just a few tenths of an inch of snow mainly on the grass. Right-hand side, it's all rain, and it stays mainly city south. That's a European computer model. I'm going to let you know what I'm thinking is going to happen over the weekend in a couple of minutes.
Reports say former Vice President Mike Pence has been subpoenaed by special counsel Jack Smith's office regarding the January 6th Capitol riot.
It comes on the same day Republicans held their first hearing for a new committee they say is meant to expose bias at top federal agencies.
National correspondent Christine Frizzell has the latest.
At the heart of accusations of bias in the federal government, the Department of Justice and the FBI, which one former agent testified has shifted its priorities and become far more politically motivated.
And every day I woke up and I embraced being an FBI special agent.
until things changed.
Republican members of the committee, named the Select Committee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, point to widespread investigations into the Trump campaign and Russia, using what they call faulty evidence, and a lack of action on President Joe Biden's son Hunter and his business dealings, though an investigation into that matter is currently underway.
There's too much suspicious activity going on at headquarters that seems to me that ought to be exposed.
Other accusations include unequal applications of justice for January 6th accused rioters and the labeling of some parents who voiced concerns at school board meetings as domestic terrorists. Some sounding alarm bells it's expanded far beyond and has the makings of a surveillance state.
Whether it's the no-fly list or lists of the unvaccinated at the CDC, it seems as though that exceeds the authority that Congress has given to a lot of these agencies, and they've exceeded that authority in a way that really weaponizes their powers against the people.
Democrats expressing outrage at the formation of the committee itself.
Do you think that the federal government has become weaponized?
No, of course not.
So what's the point of this hearing? Why do you think
there is
this
no point to this hearing? It's pure partisan posturing.
A new Washington Post ABC News poll shows most Americans don't find the committee's investigative goals to be legitimate, just 36%, while 56% say it's an attempt to score political points. In Washington, I'm Christine Frizzau.
And that brings us to our question of the day. Are you concerned that the federal government is being weaponized for political purposes? Right now, all of those who voted say yes. You can head to foxbaltimore.com and click on the Pulse tab to weigh in.
The academic performance of American students hitting unprecedented lows. Republicans latching on to the issue as a possible ticket back to the White House. I'm Kayla Gaskins in Washington.
And as we head to break, a live look from Cockeysville, where police are still searching for the suspect whom they call armed and dangerous, with a new shelter-in-place order just issued for Falston, Harford County. The latest on the search coming up in 2 minutes. right, we're following the breaking news out of Cockeysville right now. Police say an officer is seriously hurt, and the suspect accused of shooting at police yesterday, David Linthicum, there's a picture right there of him, is still on the run. There is now a shelter in place in Falston, Harford County, as police believe he may have traveled there, taken a car and gotten there in the last hour. We have a crew on the way to that scene in Falston.
That's right. Keith Daniels joins us live from the scene in Cockeysville right now. And Keith, we understand this situation is as fluid as something could get.
Absolutely, Kai and Maryland. Let me begin with the officer shot. Now, Baltimore County Police are tweeting now that one of their officers has been seriously injured in a shooting. Now, for now, police are not saying if that officer was shot by Linthicum, but they are releasing that information as it relates to the search for Linthicum. A flurry of activity tonight, including one neighbor reaching out with video of police possibly at one time moving in on the suspect. The neighbor said he heard flashbangs. Take a listen.
There was another one. That's the third explosion.
Now, the search for Linthicum triggered yesterday afternoon. A phone call to police to come to a home on Powers Avenue near Sherwood Road in Cockeysville. A man in crisis. Officers arrived. Then they say Linthicum fired a gun. The officer is okay after the shooting, a barricade situation. Then somehow Linthicum slipped away. A neighbor tonight with video of police possibly engaging with the suspect. Listen to this one. You can hear the officer saying, someone on a loudspeaker saying, David, come out, we won't hurt you. Possibly engagement with that suspect in this community. So again, Kai and Mary, fluid situation going on here, developing as we speak. We're live now in Cockeysville. Keith Daniels, Fox 45 News.
Keith, thank you for that report. Now, moments ago, we saw a helicopter land at Shock Trauma. We are tracking this flight from Cockeysville. We do know an officer was seriously hurt during that confrontation in the past couple of hours, as Keith just mentioned, and that the manhunt for David Linthicum continues at this hour. Again, a Maryland State medevac chopper apparently looks to be transporting an officer, we believe, to Shock Trauma.
Of course, everybody's wondering about schools in the area. The search forced multiple Baltimore County schools. There's a list right there to shut down today. No word yet whether they will be open again tomorrow. We will post the latest information on school closures whenever we learn about it on foxbaltimore.com. Of course, we'll have the very latest on our morning news. They start at 4:30 in the morning. Now, we want to show you that picture once again. Here's the suspect, 24-year-old David Linthicum. He is 5'7", believed to be wearing a dark short-sleeve shirt and shorts. Again, he is armed and dangerous. Police think he may now be in Falston, Harford County. If you see him, do not approach him. Call 911. Again, police believe he has traveled from Cockeysville into Harford County. We do have a reporter on the way to that scene. We'll go live as soon as they get there. Fox 45 News will continue to follow a developing story, bring you any updates as they come in during this newscast and, of course, online. Well, in a city in crisis, an investigative hearing tonight into the recent deal between Mayor Brandon Scott and BGE over the city's conduit system.
Some city council members, including the city council president, are fighting the contract.
Fox 45's Jeff Abel has been following this story. He has the very latest for us.
Why is this so urgent now?
For more than 3 hours, city council members grilled city leaders about a deal with BG&E many council members knew nothing about.
The concerns of this council is that the administration was negotiating supposedly in good faith, but not in a transparent way with BG&E.
The agreement the mayor announced on Tuesday gives BG&E broad control over the city's conduit system, the underground system of electric and utility cables, which voters overwhelmingly agreed in November that the city should maintain ownership. The recent agreement, signed by the mayor, keeps the system in the city's hands, but allows BG&E to have far more control over its fate.
The agreement requires the city and BGE to work in good faith.
Our company
would like the opportunity to compete for this work.
At an investigative hearing, owners of local firms complained they were shut out of the bidding process. Councilman Robert Stokes called it a violation of the city's minority hiring process.
65 to 70% black city, and we in here begging for crumbs. We should be ashamed of ourselves.
What our constituents want us to get to the bottom of is whether or not this is a good arrangement for the city.
While city attorneys called it a huge win for the city, others demanded more time to consider its impact.
Has the administration considered asking for a joint deferral?
It's unnecessary because we believe there is nothing more that we need to wait for.
BG&E has been trying to buy the conduit system for years, and we're basically allowing them to do it. We're pretending like we maintain ownership of the house, but we're giving the rights to which rooms to occupy, which rooms to repair. All of those things are now up to BG&E.
Jeff Abel, Fox 45 News.
Another big contract is under the microscope with New Jersey company Metra Industries, which has failed to abide by Baltimore's rules in the past. The owners of Economic International Construction Company are accusing Metra of winning contracts by promising, then failing to hire Baltimore's minority subcontractors. The company says it lost millions of dollars because of this. Now, Thuru Vignaraja, who is representing the company, and the Minority and Women's Business Opportunity Office confirming Metra Industries has not met its required goals on any of its 3 city contracts.
How do we look at ourselves and say that we're serious about investing in our city if we're looking at companies that violate these rules, that don't meet the goals over and over and over again, year after year, contract after contract, and then award them contracts again?
Vignaraja is urging the Board of Estimates to deny Metra the contract. BOE delayed a vote on the $18.5 million contract last week.
Continuing our coverage right now on the crisis in Baltimore City classrooms, Baltimore City Schools is in the spotlight as a Project Baltimore investigation reveals more than 20 schools didn't have a single student proficient in math.
And it comes as education across the nation becomes a key issue for politicians gearing up for a 2024 presidential run. Kayla Gaskins reports.
American students increasingly struggling to read, write, and do math on grade level. Inner city students among the hardest hit.
How is he supposed to be productive if he can't read?
Nichelle Watkinson's 4th grade son attends one of 23 Baltimore City schools where not a single student tested proficient in math on the state exam.
Who do you hold accountable for that?
Local lawmakers dodging questions from Sinclair station WBFF.
And as some elected officials run from the issue, others are tackling this crisis in the classroom head on.
Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders announcing a new state education plan this week, increasing teacher pay, school choice, and expanding early education.
Here in Arkansas and across America, Republicans are working to end the policy of trapping kids in failing schools and sentencing them to a lifetime of poverty.
In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis continuing his crusade to rid the public K-12 education system of woke political ideology.
We believe in teaching kids facts and how to think, but we don't believe they should have an agenda imposed on them.
Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri, one of the first to introduce federal legislation to combat the problem with his Parental Bill of Rights in 2021.
They're scared to death that they don't have any say in their kids' education. It's time to put parents back in control.
Former President Trump even latching on to the gender identity in schools fight as he runs for another term in the White House.
The left-wing gender insanity being pushed on our children is an act of child abuse.
Trump and others echoing Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin's successful campaign playbook and betting that the education issue will be the key to a GOP victory in next year's presidential race. In Washington, I'm Kayla Gaskins.
And taking a look right now at the Fox 45 quad box. On the top left, the CDC says states and school districts should decide whether COVID-19 vaccines are mandated for student enrollment. It recommends regular vaccinations similar to flu and MMR.
Top right, a group of infectious disease experts urging Congress to investigate the collateral damage of pandemic policies. The Norfolk group wants a bipartisan committee to assess what went into the decision-making in the wake of the impacts on families, in particular when it comes to education.
On the bottom left, about 240,000 people disappeared from public schools during the pandemic and didn't resume classes somewhere else, even at home. Now, that's based on analysis by the Associated Press and Stanford University. Experts say children need help re-entering schools, and schools need their enrollment for funding.
And bottom right, attorneys for the president's son, Hunter Biden, denying a House Oversight Committee request for documents like bank statements and communications. Republican Congressman James Comer wants to find out if the Bidens are using political influence to enrich themselves. Hunter Biden's attorney says the probe is not legitimate.
Be the first to know about breaking news by signing up for News on the Go. Go to foxbaltimore.com and click on Mobile Alerts Sign Up under the Station tab. You can also download the Fox 45 app for your smartphone. Search for WBFF in your app store.
A fugitive in Baltimore, one of 3 criminals on the loose across Maryland. Federal agents' efforts to track them down ahead on Maryland's Most Wanted.
And the bus stop forecast for tomorrow morning. Nice and mild in the 50s, and it looks like we end the day near 60, partial sun. Breezes pick up, but much colder for the weekend. I'll let you know what it looks like for potential snow chances. That's up in my Weather Authority forecast.
As we head to break, another live look from Cockeysville, where police say an officer was hurt within the last hour, very close to the scene. It came as police search for David Linthicum, who is still on the run. Police say they believe he is now in Harford County. We have a live crew on the way there. Stay with us. We'll be right back.